but I feel like the best option for me personally would be locations, or like a location thing, because I've lived in New York a lot of years, and I've worked in a lot of different places, and I've discovered a lot of like tiny parks and like weird little New York oddities. There's another random tucked away park. Well, it's not really a park, it's mostly a public space, and it's a little tunnel that has a massive waterfall around the tunnel. Like, they made an artificial waterfall. Back in the day, I used to go to all those spots regularly. It was part of like how I maintained my internal balance in terms of mental health. And then when COVID hit, that became completely impossible.
Well,
I'm so tired of the city closing public spaces. I just was walking through the city one day. So I used to have, when I first moved here, I had like 3 jobs, as most people in the city do to this day. I had a job on the west side, and I was walking through to the east side for my second job of the day. And I heard running water, and I was like, where is there running water in the middle of Manhattan? I was like, what? And I turned the corner, and it was and there was that waterfall just coming down. And ever since then, I was like, well, maybe I should just try to find all these little unexpected places in the city. And that's what I've done since, pretty much. So it was kind of the inspiration to start roaming around. I came from the South, so the culture was very different. My best friend is always like, can you just practice the art of minding your business? And it's just like, and I struggle with it so much, because no one in the South minds their business.
Yeah, and everyone in New York does,
right? Everyone.
Which is why, like, we need signs that say, if you see something, say something, because we just won't.
We live in a very patriarchal world.
We do, and we also live in a very classist world, and I think a really good example of that is the word ain't. So, back in the day, ain't actually used to be considered proper English. It was a contraction of am not. Ain't.
Right.
But originally only the upper classes used it, and when it started to trickle down into the lower classes, then the upper classes as one abandoned it. And so then it became a bad grammar and a sign of poor breeding after it trickled down to poor people. Okay, so back in the day, I used to work in nonprofit called Harlem RBI, and I did a summer internship with them. And it was a free camp for disadvantaged families so that their parents could work over the summer and they got free childcare. And then their kids were also working and still learning and being active and enriching themselves. And there were a couple teachers who were white, and they would correct ruthlessly any mention of African American vernacular English. Like, a one I saw a lot was ask, the first act, right? And they would always be like, you mean asked. You mean, and it would be like so intense. And it was just like just watching a culture just get stomped on because it wasn't considered correct English. Despite the fact that it's considered a dialect, it's a dialect. But you have these teachers who are like, that's not proper English. And it's just like,
proper English is white English.
Thank you. Like, literally, and white people have always been the ones who made what English proper and what English isn't. Right? And the other thing is that, like, if you're that concerned about it, then hone their ability to code switch. Don't stomp out their native dialect. Because that's never talked about.
When do you feel like you became like hyper aware of the white savior narrative?
When I worked there, because if we're gonna be totally real, at first I was playing into it a little bit too, because I was a college-educated girl from the South who was in a private school on full scholarship, who then went into South Bronx and was like, I don't want to work for you guys, like.
Oh my god!
You know, like,
I know what you mean.
At first I was playing into it, but it was just watching people who were really like full-heartedly into that narrative and watching how they affected the people around them. I was like, oh, that's a problem. And it wasn't until I saw it, like, I've always been this way. It's like, once I see something, I never unsee it. I mean, it's a complex topic, especially
Yeah.
like, you know, as a white person who is usually around people of color. Like, you gotta be careful.
Yeah.
You just gotta be careful, and you also have to realize that like, not everyone's gonna fuck with you,
Mm-hmm.
and that's okay. Like, don't force it, because like the amount of times I've seen people who are like, "Why are you excluding me?" And it's like they're not excluding you. You make them uncomfortable because there's a history there. You need to respect it. You know what I mean? Like, whenever you see a person of color who's uncomfortable around white people, it's always like, yeah, you know, half my family was murdered by white people in the 50s, so I'm a little worried about being around you. Just let them live. It's not, they're not required to include you.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally, like, it's a gift if they do. Take it as such. Don't be an ass.
Right.
Brain death.
Hi, buenos días.
Buenos